Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening: Dwight Schultz, a Hollywood actor who played Murdoch on NBC's The A-Team; Anne-Marie Murrell of PolitiChick. She's the national director there. And Michael Finch, the chief operating officer at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Glazov gang members, welcome to the Glazov gang.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you for having us.
And we are very, very excited to have our new gang member with us this evening, Anne-Marie.
Hey.
Welcome to the Glazov gang.
I am thrilled. You
And,
guys
you're-
are awesome.
And Dwight and Mike, tell Anne-Marie the rule about the Glazov gang.
Absolutely not. That's your rule.
Mike?
Okay, I don't know the rules.
We've been doing this for a year and a half.
Yeah.
You can check out anytime you like, but...
You can never leave.
Exactly. And what song is
wow.
that?
Here. Hotel
Hotel
California.
Excellent. Okay.
So I'm
that's
inducted, right? It's official.
You're in. You're in.
Awesome. Good.
Okay. For some reason, none of the members ever remember the rule. Welcome to the Glazov gang. And from the world of jokes and buffoonery to the serious issues of our time, we have a hero and warrior with us today, Anne-Marie Murrell, who confronted Suhail Khan in 2012 at CPAC. Tell us what happened.
Last year you said there's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States. Yet the Muslim Brotherhood themselves have said that 29 Muslim American organizations are, they describe them as being our organizations and the organizations of our friends. These include the Islamic Society of North America, the Council on American Islamic Relations, and the North American Islamic Trust. And 4 federal judges have confirmed that these organizations are friends for the Muslim Brotherhood. So do you stand by your statement that there is no Muslim Brotherhood in America? Should they be included in conservative politics at all?
That's what this panel is about. So if you want to take up those questions with the folks, you can. Yeah, we're here to talk about conservative message for Americans and your groups and other Alinsky-like tactics you want to use on both.
Frank Gaffney's a friend of mine. So he had told me earlier about Suhail and Grover Norquist. I'm a layperson. I'm still learning all this. I was shocked, and I didn't believe it. And honestly, I was like, no way. They couldn't have infiltrated conservative politics. It didn't make any sense to me. So when I saw Suhail was doing a panel at CPAC, I knew I had to go. I didn't plan on saying anything to him, but I couldn't hold it back. And all I asked him was if he stood behind his statement from the year before that there is no Muslim Brotherhood in America. Because to me, that was one of the most dangerous things that anyone could say, especially on our side. That's what the other side says, to try to make you think that a snake isn't a snake. And boy, I got in trouble. I mean, the room exploded. My producer was there. She was trying to film it, but she didn't know how to zoom in and out. But some people on the front row were telling me to leave, and Suhail said that I was an Alinsky instigator, and it was amazing. It was as if I couldn't. If I'd thrown battery acid in his face, people wouldn't have reacted as badly as asking him a question about Muslim Brotherhood.
Did he? And the question was still not answered.
No.
Or dealt with.
No.
Anne-Marie,
Not at all.
what does that mean that there is no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States? What does it mean coming from someone whose father founded a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood, the MSA? Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I told him in my question, too, I said, well, federal judges have said that, yes, there is Muslim Brotherhood in America, and CARE has said Muslim Brotherhood is in America. And I asked him if he wanted to refute his statement, and that was kind of when everyone went nuts. As I was leaving the panel, it was just a little room. There were only about 40 people in the whole room. I'm nobody. And if I wasn't allowed to ask that kind of question, it only makes sense that someone like Congresswoman Bachmann would be so brutally attacked for speaking the truth. You're not allowed to speak the truth when it comes to Islam.
Anne-Marie, who is there for then Suhail Khan?
Suhail Khan is one of the top people at CPAC. He's been in politics for years. He started actually in the Bush administration, and he's one of the top people. His mother has direct Muslim Brotherhood ties. His brother also. He has all these direct connections to the Muslim Brotherhood, and it just doesn't matter. It doesn't. And Grover
And so
Norquist
therefore
is
he
his
is
buddy.
consciously lying.
I would think so.
Okay.
that's
Dwight and Mike,
my
I don't know
opinion.
if I told you this. I'm just here to talk to Anne-Marie today. So you guys are
so
just going to
sorry.
answer. Dwight, go ahead.
I just want to say, first of all, it was enormously courageous of you to do what you did. And brilliant because you asked the absolute perfect question. And he lied. He lied. It would be like asking, that, why hasn't someone said to Barack Obama, did you toast Rashid Khalidi? Simple question. But Suhail Khan, you nailed him. It was the emperor's new clothes. You basically said, are you naked or not?
Right.
And he couldn't answer and came back with an ad hominem. It was brilliant. And I wish politicians would look at that tape and realize that one simple question, without any animus, can undo these people. Because the truth is the truth. We know that the Muslim Brotherhood is here. It's the FBI has verified it. We know that they have infiltrated the United States government, and we know that the President of the United States and the Secretary of State have done everything in their power to remove any reference to radical Islam, and that, of course, is what the Brotherhood represents. But what you did, everyone should see that. Particularly every Republican congressional member should see that tape.
And it shows the sad state of this country that we have a terrorist organization group that wants to destroy the United States of America, and just to ask a few questions about it, as Anne-Marie did at CPAC, or that Michelle Bachmann is doing on a national stage,
That's right.
It triggers so much hate and slander and such a violent backlash. Absolutely incredible. Mike?
Well, I was incredible amount of courage. And I was going to say, you did something that the mainstream media won't do, but it's much worse than that. You ask questions that the conservative media won't do. The conservatives will not touch CPAC. They will not touch Grover Norquist. I mean, outside of David Horowitz, Frank Gaffney, and a few brave souls. You got to remember, Suhail is a major conservative figure. Grover Norquist is a major conservative figure. They had access to the Bush White House. This didn't start under Obama. This goes way back to Bush. For him to say there's no Muslim Brotherhood in the United States, that's like saying there's not intellectual thought on the Glazov gang.
That's right.
Which is absurd, because obviously there is.
Obviously.
But I mean, it's so absurd. Obviously, the Brotherhood's here. He's seeped in the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood's in the universities. CARE said there's Muslim. CARE is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
Muslims and his parents. I mean, you look at who Barack Obama palled around with terrorists. This guy really. I mean, he set the mark on palling around with terrorists. Sami al-Arian, al-Amoudi. I mean, it goes on. And what does it say if he's responsible for Muslim outreach? And everyone he seems to touch either ends up on an FBI record or ends up in jail or tied to al-Qaeda. What does that say about the Muslim community in America that's trying to get this out? I mean, he's been very effective in the outreach. He's working with Obama's team. I think it's incredibly destructive, and this is our movement. It would be easy to pin this and say this is all the left.
Right.
This is the Democrats. You said this to Frank Gaffney. This is something you'd see at a Democratic convention.
I didn't believe it.
This
I was
is the
questioning him
major
about it.
conservative conference in the United States.
Yeah.
They've completely infiltrated it, which, I mean, how are we supposed to fight when our own side is...
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask this. Now, look, am I correct? It was in 2011 where David Horowitz called out Suhail Khan at CPAC.
He did.
Right? A great speech that he gave. But I love one of David's themes that he also emphasizes in his articles and on Sean Hannity in his debate with Suhail Khan, and he did at CPAC. Where's the conversion moment? Where is the repudiation? If you come from a family of Nazis and you were once a Nazi, let's say, or you're from a Nazi background, there is a moment where you break from your past. If you were a communist, there is a moment where you break from your past, like in the book The God That Failed, where they come out and reject the past. Where David Horowitz, where he had his repudiation moment, where he came out and said, I'm no longer a leftist and voted for Reagan, etc. If we give some kind of benefit of the doubt to Suhail Khan, who's just scoffing and laughing at David and is not nice to you and slanders people in return, the question is, where is the repudiation moment? Where is the conversion moment? If he even comes from a family of Muslim Brotherhood, where was the moment that he said the Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization and I denounce Islamic supremacism and I denounce the violent teachings of the Quran? I'm sorry if I've gone on a tirade here a bit, but let me go to you, Anne-Marie. What does this mean that there wasn't a repudiation moment?
Well, exactly. Even for me, the same thing. I was a Democrat until 9/11.
You didn't tell me that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have prayed for forgiveness at President Reagan's graveside.
Okay, so you're a second thoughter.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had that moment. It was life-changing for me. And everything I've read about Suhail Khan since, there hasn't been anything. There's nothing. And he won't even answer the most basic, simple questions from just a regular person.
Mm-hmm. You would think
there
that
is
an
none.
honest person with this background, with these associations, would come out and have his repudiation moment.
The analogous situation is Alger Hiss, holding steadfast to that he was not a communist. And all of the communist agents who were working in the United States government from the 50s through the 60s and 70s, they never, ever admitted it. And they did the same thing. If you asked them about it, they would attack you personally. As Edward Dimtrick says in his incredible book, Odd Man Out, there's one thing that they do very well, that's assassinate character. And that's their skills. But they never answer the question. They are deniers. And when they tell a big lie, like Suhail Khan did, it exposes him to the, I mean, we now know what he is. But everyone else has to be subjected to it. We have to show people, this is a lie. This is a big lie. He's told, don't you understand what that means? That if you say something that is definitive, we know that they're here. The FBI knows that they're here. I mean, there have been trials. So what does this say about him? If we could get it out.
Yeah.
I was trying to give him an out. I was
right.
trying to give him that out. And I was respectful, and I asked my question. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't yell back at him when everyone else did. If you look at the video of him, you can see his face for just a moment where he wasn't real sure what to say to me, but he didn't have to say anything because the audience was saying it for him.
Well, calling you
telling
an
me to
Olympian.
get out.
Before we
Yeah.
move on to our Buddha
Yeah.
of wisdom, tell us very briefly about the aftermath. What responses did you get? Did you get some threats? Did you get some praise? What happened afterwards?
As I was leaving the room, there was a reporter from Huffington Post who immediately said, "Why would you do that? What were you trying to instigate with him? Because this was a religious inclusion class or panel." And I said, "Well, I don't believe the Muslim Brotherhood should be included in religion. It's not a religion." So, and Fred Grandy was in the panel. I didn't even know he was in the room, and so we talked after. I went to another panel later that day with Pamela Geller, and I love that woman. And I was sitting there, and she started talking about an incident that happened with a PolitiChick, and my producer was like, "That's her." So I got to stand up, and I got a great interview with Pamela Geller. It was
Go ahead, Mike.
amazing.
What do you think?
On a panel with Pamela Geller, that was not a CPAC-sponsored panel, though. If you look at the
Yes, I
because
know.
Robert
Yeah.
Spencer, we've sponsored Robert Spencer. David has spoken. Look at CPAC's agenda over the last at least 5 to 6 years, probably beyond that. When was the last time they had a panel on the jihad, right, or the Muslim Brotherhood, or Sharia and the Sharia law? Never. They will not. They're great on guns. They're great on taxes. They're great on a lot of things. They will not touch this issue. She
was in a room smaller than this. Pamela Geller, not getting to speak on a stage.
They
It was
put
a
it.
room
Yeah, I'm
like
surprised
this.
she wasn't in the in the alleys, with the with the rats, trying to hide out with. It's that bad. CPAC has become that bad on this issue. He hasn't repudiated because he believes in Islam. Right. I mean, he called the Mujahideen. He praised them for their martyrhood in the name of Islam. Look, he is a fundamentalist Muslim, and the one thing we can try to talk about what he believes in, Dwight. The problem is the White House has said the Brotherhood is a secular organization. So even if you said the Brotherhood is in the United States, everyone's going to yawn. That doesn't mean anything because everyone has been told the Brotherhood's okay, that Islam is not a problem. It's a religion of peace. So we have a huge educational, a lot of educational work to do.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, how is this? Let's look into the crystal ball for a minute. This incident right here, I think, says a lot, and I think that also what's happening to Michelle Bachmann, just asking for a simple investigation when we have a deputy chief of staff at the right-hand side of Hillary Clinton with Muslim Brotherhood connections. By the way, go to frontpagemag.com and sign our petition to stop the Islamist witch hunt against Michelle Bachmann. Frontpagemag.com, it's on the right-hand side of our website. Sign the petition to defend Michelle Bachmann from the Islamist witch hunt against her. And in our closing minutes, ladies and gentlemen, how is this going to play out when the truth seekers and the question askers are the ones that are actually being persecuted in our society today? A little bit of prophetic wisdom. Dwight, we'll begin with you.
I'm going to be slightly more positive than I would normally have been, because Rich Lowry in the National Review came out and said Rush Limbaugh's been right, that this president is not a centrist. He is a man of the left. He didn't go far enough for me, but I'm anticipating somewhere along the line we're going to be surprised that the truth is going to find its way to the tongues of some people who are very high up in the Republican Party.
Dwight, you know, I have to say, I love it when you often refer to the truth coming out. I'm more pessimistic because and I'm not trying to arrogate some kind of more special knowledge to myself because of my background, but you know, in terms of the cover-up of the Katyn Forest and how nobody cared, and so even the Armenian genocide, how nobody. Sometimes I'm just more pessimistic about evil forces and how successful they are in covering up the truth. But I hope you're right, Mike. Let's go to you.
Well, I press on with the truth. In the 1950s, you know, William F. Buckley, Whittaker Chambers, there was a few kind of lonely souls out there trying to talk the truth about communism, how evil it was. The European intellectuals, I think, turned first. In the 60s, they started to turn. Then Solzhenitsyn had a huge influence. By the 70s, some of the American left was starting. Not enough, but at least, you know, David Horowitz, Irving Kristol, Norman Podhoretz started to turn.
Yeah.
I hope we have that much time, but keep speaking the truth, because eventually this will turn. There will be intellectuals. There will be a segment of society that will understand the truth about Islam.
Right. I guess where I'm coming from is there were no Nuremberg-style trials for the Soviet leaders, which really depressed our family and so many Russians. They were never put on trial. And after the whole Soviet experiment, communist experiment throughout the world, 100 million dead, minimum. We've got Putin back in power in Russia, the same KGB. I'm just saying it's terrible injustice, and sometimes I'm pessimistic. Of course, we're on the same side of fighting for the truth. Last words of wisdom go to Anne-Marie.
It's difficult to wrap your head around what could be happening in America right now with people saying that there are six members of the Muslim Brotherhood in our White House right this minute. It's hard to imagine that. It's kind of like UFOs. You don't want to believe something that horrible could have happened. But even a regular person like me, you can follow the lines, read Front Page Magazine, read David Horowitz, Frank Gaffney, the Center for Security Policy. It's all out there. It's all laid out. It's in simple English that anyone can understand, and we've got to educate ourselves. Regular American citizens, we have to understand what this threat really means. And Frank Gaffney's pamphlet is wonderful.
The Muslim Brotherhood in the Obama administration at frontpagemag.com. It's a David Horowitz Freedom Center pamphlet. Buy it. Thank you very much. And Anne-Marie, thank you so much for getting in Suhail Khan's face last year. And Michelle Bachmann, thank you for being the truth teller and hero of our modern time.
Love you, Congresswoman Bachmann.
We love you, Michelle Bachmann, and join us for our next segment of the Glazov Gang in just a minute.